So it was quite the week in terms of motorsports news, including Jeff Gordon announcing his retirement from the broadcast booth to go over and take an executive position at Hendrick. Let's get into all of that right now. So before we get into the Jeff Gordon retirement, I want to talk about a couple more things. First of all, it was announced earlier this morning that the Singapore Grand Prix, which had been canceled earlier this year by F1, will be replaced by the Turkish Grand Prix at Istanbul. Now, Istanbul was actually originally scheduled, not originally, was scheduled to replace the Canadian Grand Prix after it was canceled, but then it was taken off and replaced by a second Austrian Grand Prix due to European travel restrictions, though apparently those were lifted, or they figured something out so that they could do a race later in the year at Istanbul, now replacing the Singapore Grand Prix. This has been kind of a hit with the fans, especially after last year's race where, the track was insane. The track barely has any grip, and especially with the rain, it was crazy to watch. You had a pretty usual Lewis Hamilton win, but Lance Stroll taking pole and Sergio Perez third for the qualifying. And then for the race, you had Perez second, Sebastian Vettel third in a Ferrari, and Charles Leclerc fourth, who actually lost that podium in the final corner. That was quite the finish to the race. But let's go ahead and get into something else. Sticking with F1 and talking about that second Austrian Grand Prix that was scheduled. Actually, that's taking place this weekend before the actual Austrian Grand Prix next weekend. It's weird the way they scheduled that, but the Styrian Grand Prix is taking place this weekend, and Valtteri Bottas in Free Practice 2 was exiting his pit box after some type of stop, and when he exited the box, he was trying to go back out on the pit lane, and he just lost it. Probably, just the rear tires lost grip, and I guess he spun. Now, this is going to have ramifications for Bottas, because for a seemingly harmless spin, McLaren, the team that Bottas was kind of around when he had spun, had complained about it to Michael Massey, and Bottas is getting a three-place grid penalty and 2 points on his super license. Now, the grid penalty has obviously more ramifications for right now, this weekend. Obviously that applies to wherever he is. So he'll start a best of fourth, which is already not good for Valtteri, though that's assuming he gets pole, and if the last couple of races are any indication to take, that's quite unlikely. So we'll see how that happens. The penalty points, that'll be interesting to see if he gets any type of hot water with getting 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that penalty points. Though to my knowledge, he's not close to that, so that'll only matter if he gets a bunch of penalties or something. Couple of other quick things to talk about on the IndyCar side of things. Ryan Norman is going to race that 52 Rick Ware racing car that Cody Ware drove last year. Ryan Norman's driving that at Mid-Ohio next weekend. Also involving the 52, Cody Ware is going to run all 3 of the races in the IndyCar NASCAR triple header coming up in August. He'll run the IndyCar race, the Xfinity race, and the NASCAR race. Now, the thing that'll be interesting to see for me is the IndyCar and the IndyCar and Xfinity thing, because that's on the same day. That'll be quite interesting to see how he adjusts to that. I don't know if Cody Ware's done many Xfinity races, so it'll be interesting to see how Cody adjusts to that. Plus, he's still adjusting to the IndyCar. This doesn't exactly scream Kurt Busch to me, though, that, it's not a, guy that's really experienced in the cars that he's in. Really, the only cars that Cody Ware is experienced in is NASCARs, to my knowledge, and experience doesn't exactly mean good when you're talking about that, though it's all on the same course. It's not two different courses, but it is a road course. So who knows? That'll be interesting to watch. And finally, getting on to the last thing that I was going to talk about today, Jeff Gordon will be leaving the Fox Sports booth to take a upper management position at Hendrick Motorsports. He'll actually be taking the second highest position, so right below Rick Hendrick at Hendrick Motorsports. He's already been quite involved with the team. I've got a picture here of him in victory lane with Chase Elliott after the win at COTA. So, I mean, obviously he owns a part of Hendrick Motorsports. So, this was something that we had been thinking might happen for a while, and this has actually been rumored for quite a while. So, that's interesting that that's happened. A lot of people weren't exactly a big fan of Jeff Gordon in the booth, especially with Clint Bowyer now. You've already got the, current-ish driver kind of analysis thing. Clint Boyer's way more of a character in the booth. Plus, a lot of people were saying Jeff Gordon was just kind of bland. So, in my opinion, I mean, I guess I don't have much of an opinion on that topic, but I'll be interested to see what Fox Sports does with that vacancy. The last time they had a vacancy like that, with Darrell Waltrip leaving, they left it open until Clint Bowyer came, which was still a couple years on down the line. So it'll be interesting to see, does it just turn into a Mike Joy, Clint Bowyer booth, or do they try to add someone else? Maybe Adam Alexander or something like that. That's just the first guy that comes to mind. There's probably lots of other guys out there. Helen Bestwick, I guess. I don't know. That'll be very interesting to see what Fox does with that vacancy. And it'll be interesting to see if Jeff Gordon moving to Hendrick will continue aiding the Hendrick dominance that we've had for the last month. Yeah, that'll be very interesting to see what plays out. Hendrick's quite a powerhouse right now in the NASCAR world. So that's really all I have for today. I will have some stuff out about probably the F1 race, unless something notable happens in the... Well, NASCAR's at Pocono this weekend, so the doubleheader. So I'll probably have something out Saturday night about the NASCAR race, and then Sunday about whichever I thought was more notable or something, the F1 race, the NASCAR race. So that's all I have. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you all then. Bye.